law for 16 years. I had 2 little girls at home, and I thought, I'm failing. I have missed every school show. I have missed several PTA meetings. I have missed several things throughout the course of my life, and I'm failing. Little did I know everybody else in my life thought, you are extraordinarily successful. I thought, there's got to be something that can strike a balance. And 5 years later, I am sitting on the dependency bench for the last 2 years. I am succeeding, in my humble opinion, in every aspect of my life, have stricken a pretty fine balance, in my opinion. At least my husband is complaining behind my back and not to my face, as far as I know. So I feel like I'm making a difference both at work and at home, which is a great stride for me.
Thank you, Jen.
Happy to be here.
Sure, if you want to take that one, go ahead.
Okay, all right. I'm Nina DiPietro. 5 years ago, I was in the litigation grind, and if you are an attorney or you deal with the criminal justice or the civil system, and in litigation specifically, it is crazy. It is, there's no planning ahead. There's so much to be done. You're running back and forth from courthouse to courthouse, county to county, and it's just, you're not dealing with kind of status quo, you're dealing with conflict constantly. So you're always in this heightened state of conflict, which just really kind of takes a toll on you no matter how many years you're doing it. So I was practicing in commercial litigation and probate litigation, and I just was feeling overwhelmed and also like, okay, I'm pretty young, and is this what I have to look forward to for the rest of my career and the rest of my life? Is there something else that I can do? And my husband was actually the one who came up with the idea to apply for the judge position, and I said to him, you're crazy. I'm too young. I don't have enough experience. I can't. Here's a million reasons why I'm not good enough. And I think we all kind of have that feeling at some point in our lives, in some aspect of our life. But I think that I got a lot of encouragement, and I think that that really is what turned me around to kind of give me the idea of, okay, maybe this is not only something that I could do, but it's something that would actually get me out of that litigation rut that I was in.
So, Judge Jackie, thank you, Judge. Tell us a little bit about when you felt you discovered your purpose.
Of course, you had to change the question. When
If you want to answer the first one, fine, but I really want to talk about...
I was so prepared to answer my 5 years ago. Now she's like...
Tell me what you were doing 5 years ago.
What's the question? No.
I wanted to tie into where and when and how you discovered your purpose.
And so that's a loaded question. But good morning, everyone. I'm Jackie Powell, and I'm a county court judge here in Broward County. I was elected last November, and thank all of you sitting in this room who helped me through that process. So when did I find my purpose? You know, I think when you grow up actively in a religious community, like it's like almost like every time you go to some conference or something, they tell you, you've got to find your purpose, you got to find your purpose. You know, 5 years ago, I was working in a civil firm, and we represented clients all over the state of Florida, and so I was driving every other day to another county doing all kinds of things. And then, you know, one day I was sharing with Diana over there that the firm decided to downsize, and I became one of the downsizers. And
Downsizees.
Been
there.
I want to downsizees, right? And then I was like, okay, what next? What do I do? And I think even back then, because you always have people in your life who see you in a better light than you actually see yourself, and I'm so thankful for those people who are always telling you, you can do this, or I think you should do this, or whatever. And so, you know, just with the support of so many people, they're like, you should run, however, whatever, you should become a judge. And I think probably about 3 years ago, I had made the decision. I was a solo practitioner doing my own thing, and I finally was able to tell people no or yes, depending on, and I loved that, but I knew that there was something else that I needed to do.
In your spirit, did you hear it? How did you hear that? How did you hear, I need to become a judge?
Well, I heard it from family, and I'm not looking down to my left because Judge Florence is leaning over. She got me riled up on this crazy thing that was like, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And I'm like, Florence, I don't know anybody. You got to do this, you can do this. So Florence was one of those voices in my head.
That's why you need good sisters in your life. Encouragers. Awesome.
So my family and definitely my friends, yeah.
Wonderful. So hearing it from other people,
Yes.
seeing something else in you,
Yes.
and then kind of realizing it yourself.
Definitely.
Judge Benson, how about you?
So this is the question?
Yes.
I was waiting to see. Hi, everybody. I'm Betsy Benson. I'm a county court judge in civil, and I think being a judge is just an extenuation of what has always was my dad's mantra, and now my mantra, which is true ambition is the deep desire to live a useful life. And
Say it again, Judge. Whoa. All right, Dad left some wisdom. Say it one more. Tweet. What I say, tweet.
True ambition is the deep desire to live a useful life. And I was always taught, my dad was a lawyer, that lawyers are not people who get to get other people to get their dry cleaning or people who get to drive, really nice cars. Lawyers are people who serve other people. And a lawyer's responsibility is to be of service to his client, to the court, and to society. And I was a public defender for the first 32 years of my life, and now I've been it's amazing. I'll tell you about
She started when she was 2.
Yeah. And, that was a useful way of being of service. I'll be honest, for my first 5 or 6 years of being a public defender, I did it because I could go into court and run my mouth in front of people who had to listen to me for days on end. They couldn't get up and leave, so that was wonderful. But, it also meant a lot to me to be able to get someone released on a Friday afternoon instead of, saying, I'll go home and wait till Monday, or being able to make some phone calls and try to get a family some help and try to, put people on the right path. It just really felt good. And then I started to think maybe if I make those phone calls as a judge, they'll actually pick up the phone and they'll return my call and I'll get it done quicker. So I wanted to be useful in that way, to be able to extend it, to be able to say, the judge really cares about this person and they want to see them get some help or some treatment or whatever. And I also felt very strongly, because we all learned from judges, a lot of us, about how to be a good lawyer. And I wanted to be on the county court bench to try to do what was done for me, which was older lawyers or people who had practiced a long time, or judges being able to say, look, counsel, you need to go a little further to help your client, or look, counsel, you need to try to keep your temper when you're addressing the court, or try to put them on the path of being good lawyers and being of service to others. So that's why I became a judge.
Love it. So I want to ask you, ladies, when you first decided to follow this call onto the bench, what was the greatest opposition to that call? You laughed, Judge Nina?
I had a lot of opposition. I certainly had people that supported me because, of course, as I said before, I didn't feel like I was good enough, but I had other people telling me and encouraging me, you can do this, you can start, not a new trend, but, there's no reason why someone who is in their 30s has to wait until they're in their 60s or whatever, age I, in my mind, picture being the right age to make that change. So I think that I was maybe one of the first ones who was a judge in my 30s, in my low 30s. I was 33 when I was appointed. But since that time period, there's been a flood of younger generation judges, and I think that
Female,
absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, we've had males as well, but a lot of female judges as well. And so I think it's, but I of course, when you are someone who is doing something where there aren't a lot of other people doing that at that age, you know, I had a lot of opposition, and to this day, I think we all still get it, and at times, and people say, well, I've been doing this for 30 years, maybe not to Betsy, but, but I mean, you know, there was a lot of opposition because of my age specifically, and I mean, when I was appointed, the next day, I had opposition through someone filing into my race, and I had 2 opponents during my first election cycle, and fortunately, I was successful, but I had a lot of opposition because I don't think that people were comfortable with whether it was me being female, whether it was me being so young, whether it was my career path up to that point, whatever it was in their mind, they didn't think I was the right person. And there were a lot of people that were very, you know, outspoken about that. But, you know, I think that you just kind of have to continue on and put your goals out there and don't let other people discourage you, because if you do that, there's always going to be someone who's going to say that you're not good enough or you're not old enough or whatever it is that they're going to criticize you for. And, you know, you just got to kind of keep that focus and keep moving along and just let those haters be haters elsewhere.
all right.
Well said.
Put your hater blockers on. Anybody else want to speak to opposition? And I don't mean also, in addition to external, internal opposition as well.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, Nina and I have this exact, not only are we one day apart, okay, I was 34 when I was elected, and our offices are right next door to each other, so we have the exact same story with respect to, you know, what we deal with. And for me, it was, okay, you're young, because I was 33 when I started to run for judge, and you're a mom of 2 little kids, shouldn't you be at home taking care of your kids? I had someone say that to me once, you know, and I'm like, really? Okay, you know? And then if you've noticed, there's 2 ways to become a judge. You're either appointed or you are elected. In Broward County's history, all of the African American judges had been appointed by a governor first, with the exception of 1 male. There had never been a black woman who had run and won,
Right.
not having been a judge first.
Right.
So I had that. You know, people like, it's never been done before, what are you doing? You're too young, are you serious? So I literally, and I even within my own self had that, you know, serious doubt, like, okay, I don't come from money, I'm not connected to everybody, I don't know how this is gonna work. But in the end, my mom kept telling me, you got this. You know, when you thought you couldn't have kids, you got 2. When they told you that you weren't gonna live, you're around and your son is here. So you have to remember that even though you have your internal fight, you know, with, okay, am I doing the right thing? I don't know if this is, my kids are little right now. Remember, they were 19 months old and little, and I'm running, you know, and I'm not home being mom like I should be, you know, and I was a practicing trial attorney, because I did the exact same things most of the other attorneys up here did, you know, I traveled statewide, did all that stuff, so it was like, okay, now what are you gonna do? You know, and I proved them wrong. Not only did I win, because I was in a 4-person race, you know, we won by 350,000 votes. I mean, that's a huge number.
Very big deal.
You know,
very,
we made
very,
a point
very big
that
deal.
it can be done, and I was the first ever Haitian American woman elected in the history of Florida.
Wow.
So, it can be done, Miss Jackie.
So now that Flo is, she's just totally showing off. Just totally showing off. So let me put it out there that I'm the first Jamaican American woman to be elected.
All right, my island gals. So I really want to talk a little bit about your work-life balance. I think that's something that all women can relate to. When you're going after becoming a judge, what does the rest of your life look like?
Well, you'll need somebody there to pick up the pieces for sure. I will say I was very lucky in that I have an incredibly supportive family. My girls at that point were old enough to understand what was going on and were extraordinarily supportive and interested in the process. Having said that, it was arduous and grueling and certainly a process and certainly a lot of of, I'm so sorry, Daddy's going to have to do this tonight, but I will see you tomorrow when you wake up, I promise. There was a lot of that. However, at the end of the day, I think especially having daughters, at the end of the day, the look in their eyes after having seen not only the process, but a successful end result, and the look of pride and awe and eventually just plain old acceptance, like, yeah, girls can do this now, made every piece of mess and grueling schedules and so forth, 100% worth it. Because I think the more young girls see what women can do and can accomplish and still look fabulous, they know they can.
Judge Gam, I'm just going to stick with you. What is the internal thinking you do when you start feeling those moments of guilt? When you're looking at their eyes and it's like, yes, Daddy's going to put you on the school bus, or Daddy's going to fix breakfast this morning, and you're giving the bye and they're looking at you with puppy eyes.
Yeah.
What do you tell yourself?
Well, I'm not going to lie. The initial things I told myself were not pretty.
Meaning that you were not a good mom? Or?
Extraordinarily guilty. This isn't what they signed up for, those types of things. However, I think with additional support and seeing their reactions, to be honest, eventually you're